as we said, we're talking about the Bermuda Triangle. Um, it's pretty famous, I would say. I would say it's famous, right? Uh, just a little bit, yeah. Like you might have heard of it. Um, but it's like, what is it, 500,000 square miles or something like that? Because it goes from Miami to um, Miami, but Miami to Bermuda to Puerto Rico, um, in that little triangle. That's where it's considered the Bermuda Triangle, or the Devil's Triangle, as it's also known. Twilight Zone, Hurricane Alley is another one. I mean, there's a bunch of names for it, you know, um, but I think probably the most common one is the Bermuda Triangle. um, Go ahead.
Into, Bigfoot, aliens, there's the Bermuda Triangle. It's pretty much like uh you know not, what would you consider the Bermuda Triangle? Like a mystery, Earth's mystery staple, kind of.
Yeah, I would. I think it's right there with like Stonehenge, just kind of like a mysterious, like no one knows. Maybe not Stonehenge. Like Stonehenge had a purpose theoretically, right? Like even though we don't understand what that purpose is, um, I'm sure it had a purpose. But I guess that's probably like the best way you could put it, or like the Nazca lines. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Um,
They exist potentially for a specific reason. I mean, this is more of like a natural phenomenon where I would say the Nazca lines and, Stonehenge are, man-made but mysterious.
well, right, and you could, I guess, maybe count the Bimini Road with Bermuda Triangle because Bimini Road is apparently natural. Um, Although
Supposedly natural.
supposedly natural. Although,
Yeah.
if you ever seen pictures of Bimini Road, I don't. I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical that it's a naturally occurring phenomenon.
Do we want to kind of talk about Bimini Road a little bit or dive into that
Um,
later?
we can jump into that later because that's like one of the more fun theories with Bermuda Triangle, I think.
Hmm.
So we can jump into that later. But if
Yeah.
anybody knows of Bimini Road, that's where you could kind of classify Bermuda Triangle.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, we have a question in stream too. So,
okay.
did Native Americans have legends about the Bermuda Triangle, or is it a modern phenomenon? Um, Not, I wouldn't say Native Americans,
Mhm.
but it does go back. Let me see. So, like, I think the earliest recorded event was like in the 1400s.
Mhm.
Although we'll come back to that because there is, it kind of ties into one of the theories of what lies within the Bermuda Triangle,
Mhm.
that I guess there's some question as to, what am I trying to say? There may be earlier records of things within the Bermuda Triangle that predate the
Right.
1400s.
Right.
So we'll dive into that a little bit later.
Right. And it didn't really. I wouldn't say it really got popular as far as like, oh, something happened there and it's mysterious. I wouldn't say it really got popular until like the 1800s, like
Yeah.
at the earliest. But that also is apparent. It's by some it's considered because of Shakespeare. Actually, did you read that?
Mhm.
Okay, so like
Yeah.
the Shakespeare's The Tempest is a tale of shipwreck and sorcery in the Bermudes, which is very close to Bermuda. So people kind of like combined the two, basically said like, oh well, that's where he got his inspiration. is from all this stuff happening in Bermuda, and vice versa.
Yeah, and I mean, Shakespeare was, mid 1500s to,
Right,
early 1600s. So it's kind of like that same time
right,
period.
right. Um, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say Native Americans less so than maybe Native Islanders of Bermuda might have some interesting theories on what it is. Although most of the things that I've read, they're just like it's rough waters. That's it.
Yeah.
Like don't put too much thought into it because it's just rough waters.
Yeah.
Um, but I would be interested though to maybe go if I was able to. I would be interested to like go back in time and hear like their ancestors. When all this stuff was coming out about the shipwrecks and the planes getting lost, um, to hear their
And
perspective on it.
and they're just like, yeah, the weather happens and things get lost.
I don't know, and they just like shrug their shoulders. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what to tell you, dude.
But
Um,
it's kind of an interesting point because when you talk about the Bermuda Triangle, I think nowadays there are kind of like two different avenues of belief, right?
right,
There's sort of like the supernatural theories that pop up. Like we'll talk about some of these, but aliens, wormholes, like Lost City of Atlantis kind of stuff. And then there are the scientific theories, but even the scientific theories are still just theories.
right.
So you've got, multiple theories. There are the like rogue waves, hurricanes, the what else? Oh gosh, the methane gas.
Yeah,
So
and
there's like a
the
whole
sea tornadoes
slew.
too,
Yeah, the sea tornadoes.
or whatever their technical name is. I can't remember exactly. Water spouts. That's it. Water spouts.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that's what I was trying to get at with hurricanes, but I guess they're technically water spouts.
But there's also hurricanes. I mean, it is called Hurricane Ali. I mean, there's definitely tropical storms that happen in that part of the ocean.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, like they could be definitely be two different types of thing, or two different things. But
Yeah, so there's definitely kind of two routes of thought with the Bermuda Triangle.
yeah, and then there's also the theory that nothing is happening. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
so
like it's just
yeah.
happenstance that these boats and stuff are going missing, or that these boats and planes are like they're just not going missing. Like
Yeah, it's just
it,
like human error.
yeah. And
Um,
so that's also
yeah.
another theory is that like
That's the
nothing's
most
happening.
boring theory is
That
that it's
is
just a commonly traveled trade route and and so of course there are more disappearances or crashes or whatever because it's the most commonly used
right,
path,
right. It,
which
it
is
is.
boring.
It's boring. It's not as good
And
as Aliens.
we're not going to talk about it that one that much.
That's all we're talking about. That's all we're giving time to for that. Um, but no, I mean, there's those theories, and then like you said, there's like the supernatural ones. Like something is mysterious about this 500,000 square mile stretch of land or water that is pulling these ships down. And I mean it goes even within history people thought that it was like giant squids, you know because that's a big common trope uh,
Mhm.
among history is giant squids and the kraken and stuff like that. So
Yeah, some kind of creature living in the Bermuda Triangle. Well, I think the Bermuda Triangle does. I'd have to look up the depth, but I know that it does have a pretty steep drop. Like it goes down pretty far.
mhm.
Let me see. I think more so than hmm, I don't know. I'll find it. But I think that that's one of the reasons why there are kind of these monster theories as well, is because the ocean dips down pretty deep there
Right.
within that
And
area.
I
Yeah.
mean, it makes sense, I mean, it makes sense to put those two things together. Like, there's a drastic drop in elevation or below sea level. Is it still elevation underneath sea level?
Uh,
I mean, I feel like it would be. It'd just be below sea level. Anyways, um, put that with, like, well, we don't know what's lurking in the depths, you know? So it makes sense to, like, combine those two schools of thought that something's lurking down there because we
mhm.
don't know. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's a really okay. So I started reading about the Bermuda Triangle when we decided on it, right? And I came to the conclusion, because there's a lot of articles that support this, that a lot of people don't really think anything is kind of out of the ordinary with it, you know?
With the Bermuda Triangle?
Yeah, like they're just like, stuff's happening. We don't really know what it is, but it's not anything mysterious.
It's some kind of natural phenomenon.
Right, and
Yeah.
so it's like I was concerned that there wouldn't be much to talk about, but there is a lot to talk about because there are so many different theories of what could be taking place.
Mhm.
Um,
Do we want to touch on the scientific theories first, or talk a
yeah,
little bit about the
no,
mysterious?
we can talk about the scientific ones. Do
Okay.
you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, like we mentioned, some of the scientific theories are rogue waves, water spouts. I think the most recent one to be talked about is the methane gas theory. Um, I'm not entirely sure. That's the one that I saw pop up the most.
Yeah, I
Um,
that's the one I saw
as
pop up the most too.
Yeah, or it's like it was all of these articles saying, mystery of Bermuda Triangle solved, and I think that a lot of them were from a couple of years ago at least, but they were talking
Right.
about the methane gas, um, which we can just start with that one because it's actually kind of scary.
It's really scary.
Yeah. So, um, so I guess just the general idea is that um when we're talking about methane gas, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Tin Man, but I
Okay.
think that the general idea is that you have these big bubbles of methane gas that are coming up from the bottom of the ocean, and they if they come up under a ship, it displaces the water
Right.
almost, so it kind of like pulls the water out from below the ship.
Right.
Is that right? And kind
Yeah.
of like it just sinks the ship,
Yeah. It basically,
essentially.
if you think of it, like like when Moses parted the sea, right, in
Mhm.
the Bible,
Yes.
it just like sends the water elsewhere, and then the ship goes down because of the drop in water, and then the methane bubble bursts, and the water comes back to fill in the gap. But by that point, it's too late. The ship is too far down to not to stay afloat. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Which is just I don't know why that's to me, that's the scariest scientific theory. Like, giant waves, sure, like hurricanes or sea spouts, like, feel like we see those naturally,
Yeah.
but for somehow a giant methane bubble coming up and like drowning a ship is just really weird. It's just scary to me.
Well, not only that, but if you think about it like this, right? So they're sailing along, minding their own business, right? And all of a sudden, their ship starts to sink because of this methane bubble, right?
Yeah.
Then it bursts, and the water comes crashing back against itself to fill in the gap, like I said, and now they've had seconds to radio for help or try and get away in some fashion, and no one's that fast. You'd have to be on the radio, like anticipating that,
Yeah.
and that's just not going to happen. And the other thing, so when I was reading through that theory about the methane gas, I was like, well, that makes sense for the ships, but how does that work for the airplanes that have gone missing and stuff? Well, apparently
Yeah.
this methane gas can cause planes to crash too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how it works for there. I guess maybe like the air pressure, maybe, or maybe it messes with their um, engines of some sort. I'm not big on not ancient, but plane aeronaut, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
that's what they're saying is that it can even cause the planes to crash.
Yeah,
So
Henry in my chat, Henry's saying that yeah, so the gas can hit planes, I guess, like once it breaks like through the water
that's
and
crazy.
can just, especially if it's like a smaller plane, which
That's
makes sense.
See, that's exactly like you were saying. Like that's scary. If
Yeah,
you're
you're
not safe,
flying along
you're just minding
and
your
you
own
just get
business.
like bumped by something and you crash. That would just be horrifying, really. I mean, if it at least if it's a wave or a water spout, you can like kind of see it coming.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's better that you don't see it coming. I'm not sure. But
Maybe. I mean, I
um
guess if you know with a hurricane, there's warning signs. There's strong winds, there's rain, stuff like that.
well,
I'm
even so I mean kind of hopping into the next theory, the rogue waves. I don't know if that's exactly the correct term for it,
mhm,
but essentially there are waves that will appear in a matter of seconds. So
right,
it's kind of like the same deal. Like you've got these calm waters and like in the blink of an eye, you've got this like 100-foot wave coming at you.
right,
Um, but apparently that's super common in the area is just these waves that will appear out of nowhere. And obviously, 100-foot wave is going to take down whatever like whatever it hits, right?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what other people. I was reading people from Bermuda and like their surrounding islands and stuff. That's what they usually say is likely the cause for these shipwrecks and stuff like that is the wind because it's gale force winds and the weather, the hurricane like weather, and then these rogue waves, like you said, because it happens in a matter of seconds, and all it takes is one wrong move and you're done for.
yeah.
So
That's that is terrifying. Not quite as terrifying as methane gas to me, but
yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't think it's as terrifying as methane gas, but it,
yeah.
it is still really terrifying.
So we a question is, has anyone ever recorded these giant waves? So I know outside of the Bermuda Triangle, there have been waves that big recorded, although I believe they're a lot more rare, just kind of out around other coasts. Um, but they have happened. And Henry, I don't know if you have any additional information on it about, I mean, obviously there's word of mouth,
Right.
right? So people who live in the area, people who frequent the area have experience with these waves.
Hmm.
But yeah, it would be interesting to know if anyone's like I don't, recorded them or obviously. So for these waves, there were scientists who did tests. So they did like a really small scale test
Hmm.
to show how quickly water could create these huge waves
Hmm.
um, under the right circumstances. So I know that's happened. They've done testing with it, and there's obviously like reports via word of mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't answer that. I don't know if they're actually like recorded
You know,
instances of these waves.
living in the South, of the United States, I feel like someone from Missouri, where I live, would be the ones that would try and record these waves. Like they'd be standing on the beach, right? And this big wave is coming at them, and
In Bermuda.
they're just standing there with a record, like a camcorder, like, oh, check this out, I got this. Like, come on, man. I mean, these are the people that it's like, oh, the tornado siren's going off. Well, better stand outside and watch it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like we would do that. But
Yeah.
do you want to jump into some of the more supernatural theories now, or did you want to keep going with the scientific ones?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only other there are a few small, I think, like, lesser known scientific theories, but I think the third big one are the water spouts. So I mean, we can touch on that real quick, but basically it is like a sea tornado, and I think
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing. These start up really quickly, they're huge and they're scary. I'm looking at this picture. Hold on, I'll show it. I'll show it on my screen, but it is horrifying because hold on. There are just like ships being sucked into this humongous water tornado.
Yeah, I mean, it says they can
So
get hundreds of thousands feet in the air. That's how big
yeah,
these sea tornadoes can get.
yeah. And
So
that's just absolutely. I mean, weather-wise, obviously the the islands down there, the tip of Florida, like all of that is just beautiful. It's gorgeous, beaches and water, but obviously it's just like ripe for these huge like natural
oh
disasters.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, yeah. Anyway, just something to think about if you guys decide you want a vacation
Mhm.
down near the Bermuda Triangle.
But if you do, record it so we have
Yes,
proof that they
we have
happen.
proof. Someone make a TikTok
Yeah,
and
make a TikTok. Let China know too.
yeah,
Um,
I think that picture is probably a little overdone, but
oh, it's for
I
sure overdone,
have
but it
all these
doesn't mean
poor
that it
ships
can't
being
happen.
stuck. Yeah,
I don't know why there'd be that many ships in one area, but
they're recording the water tornado.
oh, that's why we don't have any footage. They all got sucked under by the water tornado.
Yeah. But yeah, so those are obviously the scientific explanations are cool, right? I mean, you have these huge natural occurrences that are crazy and scary,
Right,
um and they do happen, they exist, right?
right.
But in terms of like being kind of spooky
Or
or
fun,
kind of mysterious,
or fun.
those theories don't really do much
Yeah,
for me there.
yeah. No, I'm with you. I think wormhole is a really fun one.
Yes.
I think that
So
one's really fun.
obviously, being a fan of Farscape, I there's a fond place in my heart for wormholes, anything wormhole related.
Right.
So I just really would like to think that the center of the Bermuda Triangle has some kind of like wormhole anomaly.
Yeah, that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I mean, that also is like okay, hang on. To bring it back to one of our older podcast episodes, right? We talked
Okay.
about the Large Hadron Collider,
Yes.
and they're using it to awaken an Egyptian god, or Sumatran is what it was,
Yes.
Sumatran god, right? Um, so what if they're sacrificing people through the Large Hadron Collider, and they end up in the Bermuda Triangle as sacrifice, and that's where the god will be resurrected?
There you go. Yeah.
We figured it out. We cracked the case.
All of our conspiracies keep linking together in the strangest of ways.
It's
Coincidence?
yeah. Are we just that smart? I'm sure if we really wanted to, we could probably link it back to Kevin Bacon.
Probably.
I'm sure we probably could.
But yeah, but the wormhole. So the reason that this theory has been thrown out a lot in terms of the Bermuda Triangle is one of the more mysterious aspects of some of the incidents there is that you have these huge ships, right? These planes. I think one of the largest ships that disappeared had over 300 people, and that one was in like 1918. That was the Cyclops, which kind of launched the Bermuda Triangle into more of this like pop culture, or I guess, well, you put it in the minds of the general like American populace, right?
Yeah.
But so this ship had over 300 crew members. And what happens with a lot of these ships, these planes, the wreckage is never found. The people are never found. No bodies, no debris. It's just completely gone. It's missing. Like it never existed. And so that's kind of where the wormhole theory comes in. Because obviously, if you can't find the remains of anything, that means that it was transported via wormhole to some other dimension, or sorry, not dimension, but some other time and or space.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it could be, that there was a human error or methane gas or whatever, and the plane crashed into the sea, and it's so deep that they can't find the wreckage, like they can't see it, or it's a wormhole. I
Right.
mean, what other possibility is there? Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
But there's uh what was it? I don't know, I had a thought and I lost it.
oh my goodness. But no, I mean, I think that's a fun one to talk about. It's more of a science fiction thing. Um,
Yes.
the one that I wanted to talk about though, and it's gonna sound crazy, I know, but just hear me out, all right?
Okay.
Aliens,
Aliens. All right.
aliens,
All right.
and I have a reason for bringing this up. All right, aliens gets thrown
Okay.
out a lot for literally anything. The fact that anytime anything wrong happens in the world, aliens is like the scapegoat. Um,
Aliens.
it's just aliens. You don't need to say anything else. Aliens, alien abduction. We know it. We already knew it. All you had to do is say aliens. Um, so aliens abducting these people. That's why the ships and the planes and stuff are never found. The bodies never found. Nothing's found. They're abducting these people. Now the reason I bring this up, all right, is because there's there's an episode of Star Trek Voyager where aliens
Okay.
have abducted people, like famous people throughout time that have went quote unquote missing, right? So like they have like Amelia Earhart that they've abducted and brought her to this planet across the galaxy. But it's just a bunch of people like that, from different time periods.
All of the people missing from the Bermuda Triangle.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Coincidence? Gene Roddenberry knew. I'm
He
saying
he he was on to it.
it. He had
He
it.
was on to this alien thing.
He had it. But no, I think I as much as I love aliens, I think that one's like the least likely. Out of all like the fun
Yeah.
ones, I think it's the
I
least likely.
I like me a good alien tale, but I think in terms of the Bermuda Triangle, it's kind of like putting two theories together that don't quite match that well.
Yeah, if like I said, it just feels like a scapegoat. Like, oh, something weird is happening or something mysterious is happening. It's got to be aliens.
People are
You know?
disappearing. I mean, I guess if you're talking about disappearances, kind of makes sense, but um, I don't know. Are aliens using the Bermuda Triangle as their interdimensional landing pad for Earth?
Probably not because it's only like a total of like 100 ships and planes. That's not very many people.
I think the average, what was the average? I think there have been around 1,000 deaths total within the Bermuda
Deaths,
Triangle,
deaths,
and what,
quote
it's an
unquote.
average of like 22 ships a year go missing, and like a handful of planes or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think to this day, 19 planes have gone missing, or something like that. 19 or 25. Um, it's just like that's not, that's not a lot. If that's their hunting ground is the Bermuda Triangle, they gotta find a different spot because it ain't working. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, so there's like 18 aircraft incidents. One, two, three, four, five. Like, yeah, about the same 15 or so like incidents at sea. So yeah, there's so if you look at the Wikipedia for Bermuda Triangle, it's Bermuda Triangle incidents page. But you can see like they've got it by year and they say how many fatalities there were. It's
Yeah,
actually kind of interesting. So um to look at, which years were higher than others, like, 1814 had 140 deaths. 1918 had 300 deaths, but that's misleading because that was from one ship.
yeah,
So I don't know. It's kind of interesting to take a look and see how many survive. There have been some survivors. One of the aircrafts from 1947 had 18 survivors. So people have made it out alive, but
yeah. Or
yeah,
there's also the 2017 Hurricane Maria death toll controversy. Like that one, I don't know how you mess up. Like it was officially set at 64 people, and then now it's 2,975. So like the almost 4,000 deaths from the Bermuda Triangle is a little bit misleading because 3,000 of them came from one thing,
yeah,
and it was
yeah,
like a hurricane.
yeah.
So like I'm not sure why we're counting hurricanes in this incident list, but sure, why
water
not?
water spouts.
Water spout, right? Water
Water
spouts.
spouts. Yeah, so take that list with a grain of salt and
Yeah,
kind of compare compare the deaths and the survivors to like the list of incidents above and you can kind of see where they all came from. But yeah.
yeah. Um, do we want to start since we brought it up a little bit earlier? Do we want to talk about the Bimini Road one?
The what?
Bimini Road.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. One thing I did want to say, I remembered the point I was trying to make. So when we were talking about the wormhole and even aliens, to some extent, where we're talking about theories, trying to explain why there's no wreckage, no bodies. So the Bermuda Triangle is part of the Gulf Stream. And so a more scientific explanation for that that's been proposed is that obviously being part of the Gulf Stream, all of that wreckage, all those bodies just wash away really fast. So just wanted to throw that out there.
But in that
The
case, wouldn't they
scientist side.
find that wreckage later?
So there I know there's been at least one ship has been found somewhere completely different. There may have been others as well, but I'm not super familiar. There have been ships that have shown up that have supposedly disappeared. The one that I heard of, I think it was a ship that disappeared in the 1940s, and I'd have to look up and see which ship it was, but yeah, so like over 90 years ago, and then it suddenly shows up somewhere completely different. That's
Right.
kind of crazy.
Yeah. I I don't know. It's interesting that um because I remember what is that show? Destination Truth, I think is the name of it. It's an old show. It's not on anymore. But he was talking about how like up the coast um, of like the U.S., they find a lot of like shipwrecks and stuff, and they think that part of those part of those shipwrecks came from the Bermuda Triangle um, uh, missing ships.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like that's how powerful the jet stream is that it brought it all the way up there, and like it kind of just like got stuck on some rocks or whatever. and most of it's lost because as it's getting drugged through this ocean, it's breaking apart more. And so,
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
kind of crazy to think about that there could just be ships circling the globe, no crew, nothing for 90 plus years. Was that I know there have been movies. That wasn't what Ghost Ship was about, was it?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. I haven't
I
seen that
don't
movie
think
in a
so.
long
But
time.
those are the coolest to me. We've talked about the theories and stuff, but we've really not talked about the incidents. And I don't want to go into too much on the incidents unless there's any ones that you really want to. They pretty much have like the same mo, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but those are the coolest ones to me, where they're talking about like a ghost ship that like what was I gonna say? Uh, the the was it the Cyclops? No, it wasn't the Cyclops. But the Ellen Austin. That's what it was. They found a ship or whatever that they were like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna take this, and it has a bunch of cargo on it or whatever. We're gonna take the cargo back with us, make some more money. So they sent a crew over to find or to bring it to sail it home with them, and they got lost again. And then when they found the ship, they the crew was gone. You know, but the ship
Yeah.
and all the resources and stuff, that was all fine. So they did it
Mhm.
again, and the same thing happened.
The
So
crew just disappeared.
the ship and the quote unquote ghost ship, the second ship, uh, it vanished.
Yeah, so I mean, I know the world is big and a lot of mysterious things happen, but it's just so strange.
Right, and I think that's like the fun stuff to talk about with the Bermuda Triangle. Like, yeah, we can be critical of it, and we can sit here and say, oh, it's methane gas, it's water spouts. No one really knows. But at the same time, you got to admit it's kind of weird that a ghost ship that they boarded, all the crew was gone, and then now the ship and the second crew is gone.
Yeah.
So, and it could just be a
Mysterious
fantastical story,
happenings.
you know.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it could be, but it's interesting to think about.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I don't know. You want to talk about Bimini Road now,
Yes.
dude? I'm so excited. All right. So for those of you that don't know, Bimini Road is it looks like a road underwater. It looks like a road, um, like concrete almost. I mean, not concrete. I think it's limestone.
Is
Uh,
yeah, limestone.
but it looks like an underwater road that someone has made, um, that leads to a city. What city, you might ask? The lost city of Atlantis. Of course. Duh. Um, but it, like, you look at it and it looks not natural. It looks man-made, right? The different shapes of rock, the placement of the rock, it looks man-made to me, at least. I don't know. I could be wrong, but apparently it's a natural occurring phenomenon,
Supposedly.
right? But then you also have like statues underwater with it. There's like pillars and stuff, and like different like lost city looking things that people believe. Some people tend to believe that it leads to the lost city of Atlantis.
Yeah, I've seen like mixed thoughts on those as well.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of dives back into what we were talking about earlier. Like what are the earliest known instances of, I guess, disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle, or how, were there any, other myths or legends about it? Um, because I think initially when these underwater structures were found, the
Mhm.
first, the first thing that people jumped to was like, oh man, Atlantis.
Right.
But I think that I'd have to go back and check, but I think that there have been other theories potentially for what this city might be as well.
Or
I don't know if it,
Atlantis.
I don't know if anything is concrete, but
Or Atlantis.
I would like to think that it's Atlantis.
Do you believe that there was a lost city of Atlantis?
I don't know. Uh, I think no.
You think no?
I don't think I believe in Atlantis.
Really?
Yeah,
Hmm. Okay,
yeah.
that's fair. That's fair.
I don't know. Maybe we need to do it, an entire Atlantis episode,
Yeah, I'm
but
down.
uh, you know,
I I'm down for that because I mean I would like to believe that there is a lost city somewhere. I think that would be cool. And I think if we've given the time to the lizard people and Hitler living in the center of the earth, riding mammoths and high fiving giants and stuff, like
yeah.
I don't think it's that outlandish to think that there would be a city underwater. That's now underwater, I should say.
Maybe, maybe.
I mean, it happens all the time, that like land mass is swallowed by the ocean. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's not unheard of that land would be sunk. I guess is the best way to put that.
Yeah, I think that what I know about Atlantis has been based on YouTube videos.
Not Disney?
No, but
Oh
I think
man.
that one of the theories was that um, the city of Atlantis was more of an allegory than a real city.
Okay.
Like an allegory of a city that basically kind of lost favor with the gods, and then the gods sunk the city, and it's more of like a lesson uh to make sure that you stay you stay in favor. That
Yeah.
was a theory. That was a theory that I saw.
I
But
mean
yeah,
that's fair, but it's not fun.
it's not, no, it's not fun. I
It's
didn't say
not
it was fun.
fun.
I just but that's why I'm like, I mean, that kind
Although I will say most like mythology is mostly just like don't mess up or we're gonna punish you. Like don't do
yeah.
this or we're gonna punish you. So I could see that. I could see that. Um but yeah, that's another of the theories is that like this Bimini Road, which is near the Bahamas, leads to the lost city of Atlantis, or it's from the lost city of Atlantis. And to tell you the truth, I'm not exactly sure how that ties into the Bermuda Triangle missing people. Are you?
What, Bimini Road?
Yeah, I've
I don't
I've
I
read
think
that. Like,
well, I don't know if it has to do with the missing people, but I think it's basically like there's something it was something about the power that Atlantis held causing these strange occurrences. So that
okay,
when the city sunk, there were like it's something crazy. It's like the power crystals of Atlantis or something like cause these weird things to happen.
okay.
That's the pretty far out there version
Look,
of this,
we've
right?
talked about the time cube theory. Nothing's too out there at this point.
Yeah. That's the plot of Superman. Wait, is it?
Um,
I
but
don't know if that's true or not.
I think that Okay, so how can I say this? How can I put this to make sense? All right, so we have the lost city of Atlantis, right? And
Hmm.
then in Greek mythology, and I'm sure other mythologies too, they probably just don't have this same name, but we have the sirens, right?
Uh-huh.
That lure people to their death in the ocean. What if the sirens, quote unquote sirens, are from Atlantis? They're actually Atlanteans, or however you would say that, right?
Uh-huh.
And so they're luring these people down to their death.
Hmm.
What if that's the case? Now we've connected it. Now we've connected Bimini Road and Atlantis to the Bermuda Triangle.
We
And,
have
a,
to make
and
everything connect. Everything is involved in everything else.
yeah, and Kevin Bacon oversees the entire operation.
Yes. I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting theory.
But you don't think it's good?
Eh,
That's fair. I just I was just having fun with it.
I was just trying to have fun.
Stop ruining my fun, all right?
No,
Um,
I mean, I think it's trying to cross like two, like kind of two sets of mythology almost, you
no,
know?
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you think there's something mysterious happening with the Bermuda Triangle?
That's a good
I mean, we're
question.
about at that time where we give final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always more on the skeptic side
I
of
know.
things. Um,
I know you are. That's why I always try and connect everything.
yeah. um, I think there is something different about the Bermuda Triangle. I
Okay.
don't think that there's quote nothing going on, right? Which is one of the theories is that the Bermuda Triangle has nothing going on. It's nothing special. It's just a popular trade route and more ships get lost there than other places because it has a higher travel concentration, right?
Right.
Um I don't believe that. I think there is something different about the Bermuda Triangle. Now, whether it's supernatural or scientific, again, I would lean more towards the scientific side,
Hmm.
but I do think there is something happening there.
Fair enough.
I think that's kind of my final analysis on it.
Do you think it's something to do with like the poles, like the North and South Pole and stuff, and it's causing like
Mm,
magnetic issues with compasses and stuff, and so things just run out of fuel, or they get turned around and crash, like a combination of like the magnetic, poles and um, maybe like naturally occurring weather effects like fog or heavy rain or something like that.
I think it's probably a combination of different things.
Okay.
Right? Like, there's kind of a bunch of stuff happening in the Bermuda Triangle, and
Yeah.
so I don't think you can say any one reason is, like, the reason for these
Hmm.
disappearances. I think there's just a lot going on there, and I think that, it just causes this stuff to happen.
Right.
It's like a mixture
I'm with
of all
you.
that
I
stuff.
got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Um, I think I'm gonna agree with you. I think it's probably a combination of a lot of things, like naturally occurring things and scientific-ish stuff. Um, I will say though that the paranormal, the weird, the sci-fi stuff is fun to talk about. It's fun to think about. I've seen a couple interviews, old interviews, especially from the that Flight 19. That's like a pretty popular incident that happened in Bermuda Triangle. Um, for those of you that don't know, they were taking like a 2-hour training session from like Miami, and they were going to go out into the ocean or whatever, and then back, and that's all they were supposed to do. And according to one of the pilots that made it back, the radio went silent. There was no radio contact between the tower and the uh, planes, or the planes and the tower. Um, there's no radio contact. Apparently, like a heavy fog rolled in all of a sudden, and their compasses and gauge all their gauges and stuff started to go crazy. And if I remember correctly, he talks about like some sort of like time travel. Like he was supposed to be, it was only supposed to be a 2 hour thing, and they were actually gone for like 9 hours or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
so that would kind of, I guess like we said, that kind of like combines a bunch of stuff. So that would be like your naturally occurring stuff like fog, your wormhole theory, and then like the magnetic thing uh, with the poles, because
Yeah.
that's going to mess with your gauges and stuff. So I think I think that incident in particular is really interesting, um, just because people did make it back and they've had a chance to like give their side of the story, and they
Mhm.
fully believe it. Just like with Bigfoot and all that stuff, they really do believe it. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. But I tend to agree with you that it's probably not sinister or anything weird.
I mean, as much as I'd like to believe that a giant monster lives in the depths of the Bermuda Triangle and just eats entire ships,
Hmm.
I don't think that's the case. Or wormholes, aliens.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Aliens is like on the far end of the spectrum of what I want to believe for this. So,
Maybe it's an alien monster that travels to the Bermuda Triangle via wormhole.
so
Bam.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Godzilla is what you're saying.
Yes.
Um,
And in fact, I think Henry was saying earlier that that is actually where Godzilla lives in the new
sure,
movies,
why not?
is the Bermuda Triangle.
And it's a like, teleportation to the center of the earth, where he
Yes.
chills with the mammoths and Hitler and all of that. We've connected it again. We did it. We figured it
Bam.
out.
Done.
We we cracked the
Can-
case.
Cancel all the conspiracy theories. We've solved them.
We've solved them all. But other than that, I have nothing else. I appreciate you for talking to me with this, because
Yeah.
this is a bit out of our usual wheelhouse, I would say. Um, we usually talk like like we always say, more like the scientific stuff. And I guess this did have some science to it, but it's not a normal podcast, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we usually are kind of more on the fantastic or mysterious side of things,
Yeah,
but that's what I like about the Bermuda Triangle is that even the scientific theories aren't agreed upon,
right.
or they happen, but that's not they don't know if that's the source of what's
Or they
happening.
could happen.
It could happen, yeah. So it's, I don't know, it's interesting to talk about both sides of the Bermuda Triangle just because they're it's like I said, it's pretty much a, worldwide mystery kind of staple.
Right.
And so many people have their own theories about what actually happens there.
Right. Yeah. You're 100% right. But I don't know. It was a fun one to talk about. It was a fun one to do the research on.
Yeah.
So, and there's
Awesome.
also there's so much information out there if anybody's like actually interested in learning
Yeah.
more about the incidents that have occurred in the Bermuda Triangle. There's so many documentaries and books and stuff out there about it. If it interests you at all, definitely do it. Like I'm really interested in it. I think it's awesome. So I actually, if there's a documentary on TV or Netflix or Hulu or whatever, if it's about the Bermuda Triangle or especially Easter Island, that one fascinates the hell out of me.
That
Um,
one's good. Yeah.
so you can watch them and they're awesome.
There's a lot out there for you guys.
Yeah. So other than that, I have nothing else.
Yep. No, thanks, man.
Yep.
If you guys have theories, conspiracy theories, myths, legends, urban legends that you want us to talk about, we welcome your ideas,
Hmm.
and you can send those to. Where can they send those to, Tin Man?
You can send those to at TinBiscuitR on Twitter or email them to tinbiscuitreviews@gmail.com. Um,
Mhm.
or either hit up me or Biscuit, Discord, Twitter, whatever, doesn't matter.
Yep.
We'll get back to you. Also,
Yep.
one other thing I wanted to say, if you missed the entirety of this, I do put these all up on YouTube. Um, but soon we're going to have our own Tin Biscuit. Well, we already have it. I just haven't uploaded anything to it yet. But we're going to have our own Tin Biscuit reviews channel that you'll be able to catch all the old ones on. So if you ever wanted to, if you missed one or you wanted to go back and watch one that was your favorite, uh, we'll keep posting them to my YouTube for the time being until we get everything set up with the new one. But then they'll be on that one for
Yep.
good.
On the new YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll post that for you guys when that's up and running and ready to go.
Right. Yeah. But I just wanted to get that out there so that you can keep it in your mind. So,
Yes.
other than that, I have nothing else. I do appreciate you for talking to me, Biscuit. Thank you for being an amazing co host as always.
Yeah. Thank you, Tin Man. And have a good night. And
Yep.
I'll talk to you later.
See ya.